Hi, my name is Kathy, and my hobbies are travelling, singing, and reading. All these hobbies have inspired me to gain more confidence and independence in myself, and they've been able to allow me to grow as a person. For example, through my singing, that's something I'm normally really shy with, and you would never see me perform on a stage whatsoever. But through encouragement of my singing teacher, my family and friends, and myself, I was able to work up the courage and confidence to get up there and have a great time. And it was that experience that made me realise that if you gain that confidence and independence, anything really is possible and you can achieve it. And these are the same qualities that I aim for in my students, for them to achieve throughout their learning in order for them to reach their utmost potential. Feel that learning is limitless, there's always room to grow. You can never learn too many things, and I think it's so important for them to have these skills so that they can succeed in the challenges of further education and future job opportunities that they come across. My philosophy really relates to including every student, as I believe all students have an equal right to learn no matter where they come from. In my classroom, I will incorporate hands-on learning to engage students so that they are motivated to learn. So I don't think it's always about worksheets and too much writing. If students are doing something that's hands-on and it's relevant and it's purposeful, they're going to be engaged and they're going to have fun. I don't want my students to be uninterested or not motivated to learn. I think it's so important to provide them with experiences where they're going to be engaged. I believe that each student has a unique way of learning. So what may work best for one student may not work best for another student. And I want to encourage my students that no matter what they use, as long as it's helping them to learn and they're achieving their goals, that it's okay. It doesn't have to be the same as everyone else's way. The students reflecting on their work and setting goals is also really important to me. I will make sure that there's always room to reflect and talk about what they've learnt, what they can do better, and what they actually have been good at as well. I also have a strong focus on targeting individualised learning needs. So I want to make sure that what I'm doing with the students is actually going to work best for them. And I can do that through getting to know their interests, what they know, and their strengths and weaknesses as well. So by knowing those things, I'm able to apply those individualised teaching strategies for them. My teaching philosophy supports the John Dewey theory of progressive education, where he believed education is based on educative experiences. So for me, I want to make sure that I provide students with purposeful experiences so that they're coming into the classroom knowing what they're learning and why, rather than just doing things for no reason that don't really have a lot of purpose. I also strongly believe in the constructivist approach, which is all about learning how to learn. And this actually all links to the IB initiative and PYP program that's instilled at Alamanda. Students actually construct their own knowledge about the world and their experiences. Their prior knowledge allows them to form new opinions or disregard their original opinions as well. The prior knowledge that they do have will always help them to build on new knowledge as well. My main influences on my teaching philosophy would have to be my mentor teacher and the PYP program at Alamanda. I think that my mentor teacher is a fantastic advocate for the IB initiative. She's a strong supporter and she always makes sure that what she does in the classroom will always link back to the PYP program. And that's why our students are always using it, because it's been instilled throughout their time at the school. They know that everything they do will always link back to that program. It's all about fostering independent learning skills for students to set them up for the challenges of further education and job opportunities, and it really focuses on students taking ownership of their learning. And whether I do work at an IB school or not in the future, instilling in students that they will and can take ownership of their learning is something that I will be doing in my classroom either way. The three standards that I will talk about are 4.2, 3.1 and 1.5. So standard 1.2 is demonstrate the capacity to organise classroom activities and provide clear instructions managing classroom activities. So every morning my grade 3 students know that they need to do silent reading before I start the lesson, whether that's through their iPads on RazKids or through reading a book. They know that this is what they need to do every morning, which is really nice to see because it does set routine for the day. Students are engaged and they're focused, and it actually allows them to participate in lessons throughout the day as well. Wednesday morning, the students do PE and drama, and after that is literacy. So coming from 2 classes where they're active and moving around all the time, I can notice that they can be quite restless and unsettled when they're sitting down writing for too long after those lessons. So they know that there's always time to, for a few minutes, stand up, have a stretch, play Simon Says for those few minutes, just so that when they're back writing again, they are focused and settled and on task. At the start of the year, we created the Essential Agreement, which again leads to the PYP program. Every teacher created this with their student at the start of the year and connected it to the PYP learner profiles. For example, there's caring, open-minded, knowledgeable, and communicator. And 2 of the examples that my class have are caring and knowledgeable. So they all know that they're going to be caring in the classroom because they're sharing their things with their classmates. They also know that they're being knowledgeable because they're learning new information and studying that new information. So everything they do will always relate back to the PYP learner profiles. This standard does support my philosophy that classroom managed effectiveness is supported through routine and consistency, which I believe to be true, because if there's routine and consistency, students are actually aware of those expectations, and because of that, the classroom will run smoothly. Standard 3.1, which is set learning goals that provide achievable challenges for students of varying abilities and characteristics. So through running records and the NAPLAN results, I was actually able to set learning goals for students. So for example, some of the goals for the running records would be working on inferencing, and I would talk about that goal with that student and how best they could work on it. Throughout the NAPLAN results, my mentor teacher and I would group students based on learning goals. So some goals were similar. So when we did time, there was a learning goal group that had the goal of telling time to the 5-minute intervals, whereas the advanced group had the goal of solving time-lapse worded problems. So we were able to group students that way as well. Now this all goes back to the constructivist approach as well, learning how to learn. So students were able to work on those goals depending on what they wanted to do. So with the students who were telling the time to the 5-minute intervals, we found that the best way that worked for them was to play the What's the Time, Mr. Wolf game, and they were actually able to see, look at the clock and see how to tell the time that way. And with the advanced group, we worked together as a group and went through the worksheet problems and did that together. Now this supports my philosophy for students to take ownership of their learning through goal setting, as I believe it's so important for students to be aware of their goals so that they know what they need to work on for next time and they're able to progress throughout their learning and apply it to new information. Standard 1.5, demonstrate knowledge and understanding of strategies for differentiating teaching to meet the specific learning needs of students across the full range of abilities. So my Indigenous student that I have in my class, his reading's not quite at the grade 3 level. So in order to help him with that, every morning, rather than getting him to read silently with the others, I would get him to read to me every morning. And this would actually require less assistance from me. So every morning he'd be able to read a little bit more on his own, which was fantastic, and that was able to help him be able to read and be able to read on his own and work out words on his own as time went on. I was able to work one-on-one with my autistic student because I knew that that's what he needed to stay on task and stay focused. At the same time, I knew that he needed that time to work on the task, but he also needed that time to rest as well. So once it was enough for him, I knew that then I had to just let him have his space with the aid, and as long as I knew that he was on task at that time, that was what was important as well. And he was also withdrawn from the NAPLAN because that was just something that was not going to be able to work for him. He was not able to sit down for a long period of time in a test environment, so it wasn't really going to be beneficial that he was going to do the NAPLAN. I also organised focus groups. So if there was a concept in maths, for example, where I had to explain it a third or fourth time, rather than explain it to the whole class, I would send off the students that could work on their own to work on their own, and then I would ask the students who needed that further assistance, and we'd sit down together and work together as a group that way, which was fantastic because I was able to really extend my focus to those students and be able to know that the students that were working on their own were able to, and if they did need that occasional assistance, I'd be able to go and assist them as well. I also discussed how best students learn using anchor charts. So through literacy and numeracy, the students and I came up with anchor charts of how best they can learn through literacy and through numeracy. So for example, in maths, we talked about they can best learn through manipulative materials, using those. They can best learn through going on Mathletics. They can best learn through diagrams, or they can best learn using maths apps. So they knew that whatever was on there, there were many options. There wasn't just one option to work out a solution to a problem. They had all those options and they could choose which one would work best for them, so that they were able to work on it and achieve their goal that way. Now, this supports my philosophy in getting to know students and their interests, their strengths and weaknesses. By understanding what these are, I'm actually able to apply individualized teaching strategies to those students as well. So it's really important that I get to know my students, what their goals are, their interests and strengths and weaknesses, so that I can actually work with them and work through them and work with ways that are actually going to help them with their learning as well. Overall, I aim to provide my students with meaningful learning experiences, encouraging them to have the passion and motivation to learn so that they can look forward to and enjoy coming to school every day.